All right, good morning to everybody. It's 49ers Cowboys week. Went live for over an hour last night, just starting to dissect this matchup, reveling in the glamour of it. This is the most glamorous rivalry in the NFL after all. And it was fun to do something a little bit longer, but now we're just going to go through 5 quick keys in this game because this is really good pairing between the 49ers and the Cowboys. This is going to be some quality football on the field at Levi's Stadium on Sunday, 3:30 Pacific. 49ers favored by about 4 points. Over-under is 46. I think that's a little bit too low, just given how well the 49ers offense has been playing. They've been averaging about 35 points per game ever since Brock Purdy took over as the starter because they've just started firing on all cylinders. McCaffrey was the big inflection point, right? Earlier in this season, we've seen a ton of explosiveness and a ton of field spacing ever since Christian McCaffrey joined that cadre of 49ers weapons. But here are the keys. Key one, we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball. The 49ers need to find a way to supplement Nick Bosa against Dallas. The Cowboys have the number 11 pass blocking efficiency score. This line is not as good as it has been in recent years. Neither is the 49ers D-line, though. 49ers D-line, a little bit worse than it was, I think significantly worse, actually, rushing the passer than it was in 2019. No DeForest Buckner, no D Ford, none of that. And I actually think that they're not generating as much pressure as they did at this point last season. Remember when you had Arden Key, 6.5 sacks for the 49ers last year? The 49ers started the year in 2021 struggling a bit, and then they found their stride late. They found their stride really against the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round. And they had to find production outside of Nick Bosa because Bosa's getting so much attention from opposing O-lines. They found it in the name of Charles Omenihu against Dallas. A sack and a half, 6 pressures, only 23 pass rushing snaps for Charles Omenihu. Absolutely owned Tyron Smith in that game. And remember that Nick Bosa suffered a concussion against the Dallas Cowboys in the first half and didn't return. So it was imperative that the 49ers get their pass rushing production from elsewhere. And Omenihu, Ebukam was really good in that game. Arden Key, obviously no longer with the 49ers, was really good in that game. 49ers racked up 31 pressures against the Cowboys, only 14 for Dallas going the other way. So same thing needs to happen in this game. 49ers need to supplement Nick Bosa with extra pass rushing help. And I think Omenihu is the logical answer there after his career-high 2-sack performance against the Seahawks in a game where Nick Bosa didn't have any pressures because he was facing so many double teams. So you have to find that bookend to your star player, Nick Bosa. And for that, if that does happen, you're going to fluster Dak Prescott. Dak had too much time to throw yesterday. Dallas offensive line did a really good job. Vita Vea had that sack early in the game. Vita Vea is a tough guy to neutralize at 340 plus on the inside, but Dallas ended up being able to scheme around it. They play action killed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday. Dak Prescott was really good. So you do have to fluster him. And, that's going to be a two-pronged effort. The defensive line for the 49ers has to get after it outside of Nick Bosa, but there's got to be eye integrity on the back end because the Cowboys bring a lot of the same type of weapons as the Raiders did. And the Raiders were able to fluster the 49ers defense through play action. The Cowboys have 2 good running backs in Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. They have a great tight end in Dalton Schultz and obviously a top flight receiver in CeeDee Lamb. With that particular set of weapons, you can sucker a defense into play action, right? You can sucker them into that play fake, and then Dak can hit open targets downfield, namely Dalton Schultz in the seam or CeeDee Lamb breaking free into the open field. So eye integrity is really important for the 49ers. They can't let these play fakes beat them. They need to stay at home on the back end. The coverage needs to stay disciplined. And if you combine that with a nice, strong pass rush that supplements Nick Bosa well, that's where you can really get to Dak Prescott. This is the highest interception rate this season that we've seen from Dak Prescott, 3.8%. Not good. 15 picks for him. Number 16 in adjusted net yards per attempt. Throughout the regular season, Dak had been a mediocre quarterback efficiency-wise. It hadn't been particularly good for him. You have to force that Dak to show up, not the one that showed up and was excellent against Tampa Bay. And that is a 2-part key. And maybe, hey, it's a 3-part key because Charvarius Ward against CeeDee Lamb, this is why the 49ers played Mooney all that money. He needs to be able to, I don't want to say shut down number 1 receivers, but he needs to be able to slow them down so schematically the 49ers can focus on other things. And in the case of Charvarius Ward, he's done a really good job this season, right? I think 2 off games for him. It's fair to say that the Kansas City game was an off game coming off a calf injury, and it's fair to say that last week was a slight off game against DK Metcalf, but last week was overblown. His struggles definitely launched out of proportion because last week, Charvarius Ward gave up a 50-yard touchdown to DK Metcalf. DK is going to get his own. We know that. DK, I mean, he's too good to hold down for too long, and Charvarius Ward shut him down in week 15. So he got the 50-yard touchdown, but outside of that, 4 catches for 38 yards against Charvarius Ward for DK Metcalf. So the 49ers need to see more of that. They need to see less of the 50-yard touchdown that he gave up. And I think it's fair to say that that looks like an outlier, that TD, versus the larger body of work for Charvarius Ward. So he doesn't have to blank CeeDee Lamb from the stat sheet, but he does have to keep CeeDee Lamb in front of him, and he does have to beat him enough times in single coverage to discourage Dak Prescott from going in that direction so that the 49ers can maintain their eye integrity elsewhere, right? So that the other defenders don't have to worry about CeeDee Lamb on top of a number of other things, and the defense can remain in structure. So key 1, support Bosa. Key 2, keep the eye integrity in the back end. And key 3, that's going to help everything, is Charvarius Ward doing a good job against the 1,300-yard receiver on Dallas, and that is CeeDee Lamb. All right, let's flip it over to the offense for key 4. The 49ers are a lot better offensively than Dallas is defensively. And that's saying something since Dallas is the number 2 defense in the league behind only the 49ers. But the Cowboys are a boom or bust defense, whether you look at Micah Parsons or Trevon Diggs, their cornerback on the back end, who can rack up some interceptions, but also give up some big plays. If you can neutralize the big playmakers in this Dallas defense, and the biggest one is Micah Parsons, there's yardage to be gained. And the 49ers, even with a quarterback playing with 2 injuries in Jimmy Garoppolo last season against the Cowboys, definitely demonstrated this. So neutralize Micah Parsons and let Chef Brock Purdy cook. Again, the 49ers put up 35 points a game ever since Purdy took over as the starter. The spacing is enormous on the field with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Ray McLeod. Go down the list. It's awesome. The 49ers offense right now is darn near unstoppable. The only thing that can torpedo them is a player of Micah Parsons' caliber destroying the offensive line and throwing everything off schedule. You saw Purdy rolling out to his offside. That kind of derailed the 49ers offense, especially near scoring range last week against the Seattle Seahawks. You have to find a way to keep the offense in structure more often than not. And if it's going to go out of structure, let Purdy step up in the pocket, encourage him to step up in the pocket. It's probably his biggest weakness right now. He's got to do that, and encourage him to roll to his right, because he's awesome rolling to his right, because that's his natural side throwing the football. So neutralizing Micah Parsons is the way that the 49ers have a fast track to staying on target, staying on schedule, and utilizing their bevy of weapons, which the Cowboys can't possibly cover. Purdy just has to have enough time to throw. And if Parsons is still blowing up the line, which is, he's going to be working probably against Mike McGlinchey on the right side, but we'll probably see some more creative alignments from the Cowboys to try to get him to hit home. If he is getting home, then you got to let Brock Purdy have some escape routes to where he can create off schedule. He's been awesome off schedule. Plays, in fact, that have been snap to release of over 3 seconds this year. If Purdy's held the ball for more than 3 seconds, he's averaging over 10 yards per attempt. His rating is through the roof. So he is good when he's improvising. You just have to improvise within structure and improvise the correct way. If he's rolling out to the left, it's going to be really hard to deliver consistently positive plays for the 49ers. Finally, that leads into key 5. Overwhelm Dallas with sheer weaponry. I mean, I listed the 49ers offensive arsenal. I also mentioned yesterday they have the number 3 pass blocking offensive line in all football this year, which has been a revelation for the 49ers. They have it all. They're ready to fire, and they just need to fire, and they need to overwhelm Dallas. I'm not going to, belabor the special teams issue. I know Brett Maher, the Dallas kicker, really struggled. That's getting a lot of headlines. I don't know if you can rely on missed extra points again if you're the 49ers, even though he did miss 4 yesterday. But I do think you can rely on these 5 keys, and that's overwhelming Dallas offensively by letting Chef Purdy cook. That's looking at Charvarius Ward to slow down CeeDee Lamb so that the back end of the 49ers defense keeps eye integrity against a good quarterback and Dak Prescott, and then making that good quarterback not look so good with a really solid pass rush. And I think that solid pass rush comes from players other than Nick Bosa delivering, because Bosa's obviously going to get a lot of attention. And it just so happens that Charles Omenahu's biggest career game up until last week came against the Dallas Cowboys last year. And Omenihu, he went to Texas. He's playing the home team. He's playing the Dallas Cowboys. He's excited for this game. All right, 5 keys. 49ers Cowboys. Like the video. Sub to the channel. Talk soon.